Okay, I've always wanted to be a college professor. Maybe I'll get my chance one day. But today I am one with the help of my friends. Mark and John participated. So, guys, Alabama, obvious. Arkansas, you know what? If I ever was a professor, I wouldn't like to give bad grades. So instead of giving Arkansas the obvious grade, we just didn't give them a grade at all.
It feels like they skipped every class.
Yeah.
They went winless. Tried to give a grade on that.
Auburn, D. LSU, B+. Mississippi State, C+. Ole Miss. we graded Ole Miss on the curve. That's how they ended up with a C-.
Obviously, Alabama. LSU is still in the number 4 spot after that 7
LSU has had a great season. It really is a shame that they didn't finish at 10-2.
And I feel like this ranking right here is just kind of a reflection of the overall happiness of the season. Maybe not just the week that was for these teams. When you've got LSU sitting at 4, Georgia 5, Missouri at 7, can't argue with that. What a year they've had. Those fans have been clamoring for that for years.
Yeah, they have. And on the other side of the table, you've got the folks sitting down towards the bottom. Ole Miss, Arkansas, Vandy. Makes sense. I think perennially those fans would be around there. But Auburn at 52.
Auburn at 52. That's
it's appropriate because remember Auburn started the season in the top 10.
They did.
A team with SEC championship, college football playoff aspirations, and we sit here at number 52. I feel like I should start doing NBA highlights or something.
I know.
Right now.
Are we on? Is this a jump? But the other team, honestly, Vanderbilt. I feel like if I'm a Vanderbilt fan, I'm ecstatic about this year. They went to a bowl. They beat their rival.
Yeah.
Almost beat Notre Dame, a playoff team.
Yeah, Vandy's happy.
Yeah. But, I think overall, when you talk Vanderbilt,
we have the top 6. We don't have the entire rankings, but we're going to show you the top 6, and here they come.
This will be interesting. The first one will be interesting.
It will be. The rankings presented by AT&T. The number 1 team is Alabama. 5 years of the playoff. The Crimson Tide in for the 5th straight year. Nick Saban's team has won this college football playoff twice, trying to do it back-to-back. For the 4th straight year, I imagine we're going to see the Clemson
Pizza
Tigers.
party.
At number 2.
Pizza party's excited. All right.
How many of those pizzas is Dexter Lawrence eating right
He gets 4 pies himself. He in 42.
You get 4.
Tigers
got 2 more games.
Tigers make their 4th straight college football playoff appearance. They won the national championship in 2016, and there's Clemson at the pizza party. That is a much more subdued reaction than we got a few years ago.
4 years in a row. It's not as exciting.
Not only who's going to be 3 and 4, but who this ends up being will dictate where Alabama and where Clemson end up playing in their game.
And by the way, that has not been determined yet. We don't have the answer to that yet. Part of it, the reason for that will probably be told when we see who number 4 is. At the moment, let's see if Notre Dame held 3 without playing yesterday, and they did. So in the first 4 years of the college football playoff, we had a grand total of 3 undefeated teams included. None of those teams ever won the national championship. So unless whoever winds up 4 wins it, we'll have our first undefeated champion of the college football playoff era.
Notre Dame and Clemson. Notre Dame and Clemson be a great. Last time they played
In the rain.
it was a great game. Went down to the wire in Death Valley.
Yeah, it was. Notre Dame pushed them hard. Will they be able to do so? Again, we don't know where that national semifinal will be. It will be on December 29th. So it turns out the committee was thinking much like us, at least in terms of 3 teams for 1 spot. Before we reveal those, let's look at the comparison, some of the numbers. As I told you, there's the eye test. There's some subjectivity involved here. FPI is more of a Vegas-based, forward-looking power ranking. Who do you think would win the game? In that category, Georgia has the edge. They also have the edge in strength of schedule, but in strength of record, meaning how you fared against your schedule, it is Ohio State ahead of Georgia, followed by Oklahoma. Game control, this measures play-by-play how likely you are to win a game throughout the course of each and every snap you have.
Basically, how dominant you
How
are.
dominant you are, and Ohio State is way behind in that category for whatever that's worth.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and I think that speaks about some of the games that we talked about prior to Michigan and the Northwest.
Okay, we've got people hanging on the edge of their seats. Who should it be?
Yes,
Who
and
should
I'm
it be?
one of them.
Who should it be?
Who should it be? Georgia? I think it'll be Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
I think it'll be Oklahoma.
It should be Georgia. I imagine it's going to be Oklahoma.
So Jesse and I together.
Let's have a look
agree,
at
it
it.
should be
Right
Georgia.
now, the number 4 team play Alabama in the national semifinal. In one of the games on December 29th, it will be Kyler Murray and the Big 12 champion, Oklahoma Sooners. Now, look, you see, this is a very familiar look. 3 of these teams made the playoff last year. Alabama, Clemson, Oklahoma. There have been 20 playoff berths in the playoff era. 12 of them belong to those 3 teams, and I'm just told, and this is what Alabama preferred. They didn't mind playing Oklahoma, preferred not to play them in a virtual home game in Dallas, so that will be the Orange Bowl game. Tua Tagovailoa, who's supposed to be healthy, Kyler Murray, top 2 guys for the Heisman. Jalen Hurts had a little bit of a star turn, and Oklahoma gets that 4th spot.
Yeah, and I think they deserve that 4th spot. And we will get a chance to see Kyler Murray and this outstanding offense play against an Alabama team. Can Nick Saban shut down this offense that nobody else
How
has
much
been
fun
able
will
to
that
do?
be to see Kyler Murray against that D? I got to believe if 5 is going to be Ohio State. I think if Georgia's going to be in, they'd be at 4. But now I bet Ohio State.
That is telling.
It's a good thing you're not a betting man.
And
Wow.
that to me is that's crazy because
That
you
is.
think about that means that means there was clear separation between Oklahoma and Ohio State. Clear. That means it was very clear.
That means it was a Georgia-Oklahoma debate.
And that means it was close to putting in a 2-loss team over a 1-loss conference champion, which means the committee seriously looked at their eyeballs and it mattered a heck of a lot.
The 2018 Heisman Trophy is awarded to Kyler Murray of Oklahoma University.
These are the 3 teams that missed bowl games this season, and all have put together top 20 classes. So now the question, and G-Money, I'll start with you. Of these 3, Tennessee, Arkansas, and Ole Miss, which one would you guess is the biggest lock to go bowling next season?
Tennessee. And there's one thing that Tennessee is that the other 2 are not, and that's located in the SEC East. And with all due respect to the SEC East, which really in the last few years has taken significant strides to catch up with their Western counterparts. I know the head-to-head East versus West. I expect the East actually to take a step back this upcoming year, and Tennessee is probably going to be the beneficiary of that. I look at their offense. They return entirely intact for the most part. They've addressed a couple issues in the trenches, especially along the offensive line with a few guys that are committed but not yet signed. And they have a quarterback. I mean, right now, I know who Tennessee's quarterback's going to be. Now, I can assume at Ole Miss it's going to be Matt Corral. At Arkansas, it's anybody's guess as to who's going to be that position.
I want to ask about Arkansas real quick. Again, 0-8 in conference play. 2-10 overall. Here they are with the number 19 class. I realize Chad Morris has got to go out and get skill position guys to execute what he wants to execute. But what's been the perception of that program after a year of Chad Morris when you talk to families and the recruits themselves?
Well, it's going to take time to build because really they're kind of not just trying to make this a better program. They're really shifting philosophy-wise from the Bielema era.
Correct.
In on-field and in recruiting. When Chad Morris came in, he says, I want to win in-state. They've got Hunter Henry's little brother, Hudson Henry, who's an outstanding tight end as well. They want to get into Louisiana. They want to get into Texas, old Big 12 style, and they want to get into Oklahoma, into the Tulsa area. This is their important recruiting grounds, and they've done that. And we talked about this earlier. It's going to take time. You're not Alabama. You're not Georgia. You got to have a blueprint. You got to stick to it, and you got to believe in it. And I think what I've seen so far from this class is that they are doing that. They know where they want to go. They know the type of players they want to get, and they're doing that so far. They flipped a really good offensive lineman out of Tulsa yesterday, a guy who was a late developer, who lost some weight, who's a tremendous athlete. It's a nice addition to that class. So again, knowing who you are, putting that blueprint together and going after it, and I think that's why they're up there. They're getting good players and the right type of players that they could build off of.
Yeah, I can't imagine there's ever been a 2-win team that's recruited a top 20 class the next season.
Incredible. That's really tough to do.
Unbelievable.
You're selling a lot of hope.
Yeah, hope and playing time. I mean, that's it, right? Hope and playing time. Come be a part of the change. Let's do it.
Well done, Chad Morris. Arkansas has not had a top 20 recruiting class, according to ESPN, since 2011. They currently sit at number 19. Their previous high is 18. They're flirting with that particular record even after winning 2 football games a year ago. It's a remarkable job that Chad Morris, who's entering his second year as Arkansas head coach, has been able to assemble with this group. Coach, it's good to have you with us, and we appreciate the time. How do you describe you and your staff's ability, despite a struggle on the field in terms of wins and losses, to put together a group like you've put together now?
Well, I think it just shows that what we have to offer. You know, when you got an opportunity to come in and make an immediate impact on the field, the day you step on campus, it says so much about where we are and what these recruits can do. It also says a lot about our university and what this state and this area has to offer as well. So there's a lot of positives happening here. Even though we did struggle on the field this year, we knew that it's going to take a recruiting class to get us going, and we're excited about this class.
Coach, Greg McElroy, congrats on what appears to be a really nice recruiting class for you and your staff. But look, I'm from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. All my friends from high school are Hogs. Like, they love calling the Hogs. They love Arkansas Razorback football. But since Texas A&M got in the league, it's been more challenging for Arkansas to access the state of Texas and really recruit at the level that I know you guys are wanting to recruit at. So what's been the pitch to those not just located in the Lone Star State, but throughout the Southeast, as you guys have started to carve out your footprint?
Well, I think you had to, first of all, and you said it there, you have to create your identity. Where is your footprint? And when in the state of Arkansas, and we consider not just in-state recruiting in Arkansas, but also into Memphis and Tulsa has got to be a big part of it. And taking our ties into Texas, we signed 5 just in this December class. We're going to sign more in the February class. But I really just believe the opportunity to come in and make an impact and to help build this program and turn it around.
Chad, Gene Chizik, and again, congrats. Unbelievable job on what you guys have done so far. I look at the line of scrimmage right now, and I look at you guys. I think you had 7 defensive linemen, 5 offensive linemen. That's 12 altogether, and the year's not necessarily over. What was your thoughts, and give me your thoughts on signing those 12 guys, and why so many? Was it, after you evaluated your own guys, this is what you saw you need, or is it a depth thing, or what was the scenario with all of these guys?
Well, Coach, you know you've been in this league, and you know it's a line of scrimmage league, and we had to create some depth. We had to create some competition on both sides of the ball at the line of scrimmage, and that was, from an offensive line perspective, we only had 1 week since we've been here to where I've had 10 scholarship offensive linemen at practice, and you can't survive that way. And so we had to go out and hit those needs immediately, and bring in some junior college guys that can come in and make an immediate impact. And we feel like we did that with the 2 junior college All-American tackles, and also on the defensive side of the ball. We've got to be able to get that true line of scrimmage guy that can help contain 2 gaps and get a true rush end off the edge as well.
Coach, now that you've had a full year to operate, and when you came in, you made it pretty clear that you had a blueprint about how you wanted to attack recruiting at Arkansas, kind of going back to an older blueprint with in-state, as you talked about, Louisiana, Texas, and then Oklahoma, the Tulsa area as well, where you just pulled a really promising offensive lineman out in Stromberg. But, I mean, how would you assess that blueprint that you wanted to put into action now 1 year in?
Well, I think from the first day we got here and we established what our footprint is and how we're going to build this program, and we've held true to it. We signed 5 kids right now to this point, this class here in December out of the state of Texas, and using those relationships and obviously attacking the state of Arkansas, signing 3 now. We expect more later, and in Memphis and Tulsa. So we're right on target where we think that is going to turn this program around, and we feel like that this class is going to take a huge step and putting a product on the field that's going to be able to compete at each and every position as we go through.
Coach, when we prepared to call your game against Alabama, we asked you pretty simply, what does your roster need? And you said, for lack of a better word, speed. We got to be faster. We got to address the skill positions. We got to find guys that can flat out run. So how do you feel like this class addressed the, quote, need for speed?
Well, I love the wide receiving core that we brought in. Not only did we address the speed, but we also addressed the size that we have to have. And I think we've done that. And again, we're not through yet. We anticipate signing anywhere from 9 to 10 more between now and finishing up the next few days or up into February. So we're still actively recruiting and going to sign a big class and a really, really strong class.
Let's use Tennessee as an example. 16 sounds very good, doesn't it? But where are they in the SEC? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're 7th in the SEC. Arkansas, 19th. That's a really strong ranking for Arkansas. I mean, that's great. Chad Morris. They're 6th in the SEC West. So what I mean by that is you celebrate it, but are you moving up in your neighborhood? It's a tough neighborhood, the SEC. And we continue on National Signing Day, and nobody better to welcome in than Coach Gene Chizik, brought to you by Holiday Express. He is the readiest. You look pretty ready, even though you've been on.
I'm kind of ready, Paul. I just finished a 3-hour show. How can I not be ready, right?
No, I am really interested because, I mean, listen, we spend so much time on programs talking about who's on top. We could have predicted that yesterday or a year ago, but let's talk about some of these schools that maybe aren't getting a lot of attention, but you see real progress.
Yeah, to me, Paul, it's very interesting. If you just take Tennessee, Arkansas, and Ole Miss. Now, these 3 programs finished in the top 20, okay? Wow. Now, think about how big that is, Paul, because, look, Tennessee didn't get to a bowl game.
Nope.
And they can't even tell a recruit who the offensive coordinator is, but Jeremy Pruitt has found a way to keep that class together, right? So they're ranked at 16. Then you go to Arkansas. Have you ever seen a 2-10 team be in the top 20 in recruiting in the country? It's very unusual. So there's a lot of hope and a great vision being sold by Chad Morris.
In terms of surprises today, where would you land?
Arkansas. The Arkansas Razorback. I said on air today, Paul, that relative to the season they had on the field, you could make an argument that Arkansas's recruiting class was as good and as impactful as anybody conference-wide, top to bottom, as it relates to the SEC, just because of the situation they're in, the current state of their program, and then the caliber of player. They were not only able to get to verbally commit throughout the fall and not waver on their commitment, but then end up signing today. And that is a roster that is in complete transition. They made huge strides along the defensive front, big strides at wide receiver, 3 receivers that are all in the 6'3", 6'4" range. And then Hunter Henry's brother, Hudson Henry, the tight end, #1 prospect in their class. So I was really surprised, pleased with the progress that Arkansas made and Chad Morris able to close out that class given the performance they had on the field.
How about Arkansas? They beat 2 teams, Eastern Illinois and Tulsa. This play right here was a phenomenal representation, frankly, of year #1 under Chad Morris. It wasn't a fair catch. North Texas takes it to the house, ends up routing Arkansas. They went 2-10. They went 0-8 in conference play, yet you would never know it when you look at the class that Chad Morris is assembling as his first true full recruiting class. It's a top 20 class. Tennessee didn't go to a bowl game. Top 15 class. Ole Miss couldn't go to a bowl game. Wouldn't have anyways. They didn't win 6 games. Top 20 class. These 3 are unexpected and incredibly impressive given the situation surrounding the programs. Clearly, what happened last year was not any sort of a setback. Young men are believed.
Chad Morris and Ben Hicks reunited, and it feels so good. That's Peaches and Herb, right? And what? Ben Hicks is prolific. He's a graduate transfer from SMU, where he ranks as the all-time passing leader. Last 2 seasons, he was lighting it up. Started under Chad Morris, and now he'll be reunited, hoping to resurrect a very difficult first season for Coach Morris. He will also join us later on. You may have heard the news recently that Ben Hicks, who has pretty much shattered the records at SMU, has now landed in Fayetteville to be reunited with his old SMU coach, Chad Morris. I mean, his resume is unbelievable. He ranks as the all-time passing leader in Dallas. Last 2 seasons at SMU, he has just riddled the record book, and now he's back with Coach Morris. Ben, first of all, congratulations. Thank you. Great to have you on the program, and tell us what it's been like these last couple of days getting back together again with Coach Morris.
You know, Paul, it's been crazy. You know, I went on a visit Saturday, flew back to Dallas on Sunday, made the decision Monday, and, you know, was here Tuesday. So it's been a whirlwind, but it's great to be here, so I'm excited. Yeah, I'm just guessing here. It wasn't easy. I mean, you had such a great time at SMU with Coach, and even last year. Take us through your process in making this decision to end up where you are right now in Fayetteville. You know, I had one more year, and, you know, I just wanted to explore my options and see, you know, what would be the best option going forward. And, you know, so I put my name in the portal and you know, heard some coaches out. And, you know, I thought the opportunity to come back and play for Coach Morris and Coach Craddock was just something too special. So, again, really excited to be here. Well, certainly they could use you. How closely were you able to keep up with Arkansas last year while you were playing in Dallas? You know, obviously focus on the season, focus on what I needed to get done. But, you know, I watched a few games, and, you know, it seemed like they were in a lot of the games, and we're right there on the cusp of, you know, being able to win a couple more. But, you know, I think they got the pieces to win here. So I'm looking forward to, you know, working with those guys. So. Certainly, you've played in a competitive league, but I don't need to tell you what you're about to get into in the SEC West. I know that's what you want. That's the challenge of all young players. But your thoughts on now being part of the SEC? You know, it's kind of a dream come true. I've always dreamed about playing in the SEC. You know, wasn't able to do that coming out of high school, but, you know, now I have the opportunity to play 1 year in this unbelievable league. Obviously, going to be a great challenge. But it's one I'm looking forward to and excited to be a part of it. You know, it's just a great conference and something special to be a part of. So, you know, I'm really looking forward to it. Ben, next time you're on, we're going to make one of those ear things to fit your ear just perfectly, so you don't have to keep. I understand. Listen, I do it every day for 4 hours, and I'm not far behind you in terms of making it work. But I do appreciate and sympathize with what you're going through. Let me ask you about Coach Morris, because we all know what an offensive coach he is, and you know what it was like playing for him, of course, at SMU, and share some of those experiences with us. Yeah, no, he's a great family man. Has a lot of energy. He's always juiced up, ready to go. You know, obviously great with his quarterbacks. You know, recruited Deshaun and coached Deshaun Watson. You've seen what he's been able to do. You've seen what Clemson's been able to do with their offenses. You know, he was kind of the starter of all that. So, obviously a great offensive mind. Knows a lot about quarterbacks, but I think the main thing is he's always got energy. You know, he's bringing energy into the building every single day. So, I mean, I think that makes guys want to play for him. And, you know, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. So. And you know what's expected. I guess that makes it a lot simpler. But as you look ahead to your final year, what are your expectations? You know, I came in here into a situation where, you know, I'm here to do anything and everything to help, you know, this team win. Obviously, they didn't have the year they wanted last year, so my goal is just to be a quality leader, be a positive leader for these guys. You know, help them with the offense. You know, share my knowledge of the offense with those guys, and again, do anything and everything to help this team win games. And that's my only goal and my only focus right now.
And I know you can't think much beyond the first game, but even though you probably won't do it, I've gone ahead and looked at the schedule. You got some challenging games, non-conference. You're at Ole Miss. You have A&M, of course, in Arlington, which you know. You're at Kentucky, at Alabama, at LSU. These are games that, but the Portland State games, I'm sure the one you're going to tell me you're thinking about right now. Would that be fair?
Yes, sir. Obviously, you're focused on winning the opener, and obviously playing in this league, playing in this side of the league, you're going to play great teams week in and week out. That's something I know. Even though I've never played in this conference, that's just something it's a part of playing in this conference. But like you said, Paul, we're focused on spring ball right now and getting ready for Portland State week 1. So
I would say this, and I'm sure you've been there plenty of times, but playing A&M at Arlington has to be pretty fun for a young man to spend a lot of time in that area.
Yeah, that'll be special. Obviously, I'll have a lot of family there and a lot of friends there from. Maybe SMU will have the bye week that week, and I'll have a lot of SMU supporters there. But obviously, it'll be a special game to play in that great stadium and be back in Dallas and back in my home state of Texas. So, that'll be one that I look forward to for sure.
Well, if anyone needs tickets, you only get so many, but just see if you can direct them toward Jerry Jones. He's a proud Arkansas alum. I'm sure he can help everybody out.
Exactly. I'll be sure to do that.
Hey, listen, Ben, congratulations. So glad that you were able to come on, and we hope to see you very soon.
Thanks for having me, Paul. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Wow, what a great young man, and wish him only the best. And
well, it's a great day to be a Razorback. Excited to add some new family members to the Razorback family. We got better today as a program, without a doubt. The new additions to an already extremely strong class for 2019. I added Traylon Burks from Warren High School, big receiver, linebacker, 6'3", 225. Just been a fantastic player. Obviously suffered an injury this year, but a great young man, loves the Hogs, and that excites me. Jalen Cataline from Mansfield Legacy High School in the state of Texas. One of the top high school football players that I think I've ever seen, top 5 for sure. Fantastic player, plays safety, can play a lot of different positions. But I've been watching high school football for a very long time and recruiting for a very long time, and this young man is one of the best that I've seen. He's played a lot of positions. Hudson Henry from Pulaski Academy and in Little Rock, obviously big tight end for us. We know obviously his family and the legacy that they have, and what Coach Kelly's done there, and man, it's just been phenomenal of this young man, 6'5", 235. I feel like that he's going to come in and make a major impact, and watching him and the success that he's had. Amonte Spivey, running back from Central High School in Phoenix City, Alabama, a traditional powerhouse, won a state championship this year. Absolutely a dominant program in that state. We've got great connections there. This definitely continues to open up a pipeline to get kids out of the state of Alabama. But I'm extremely excited about him. 6'1", 208 running back, a big physical back. We're excited about. We added some other additions to our program. Today, obviously, we're always looking for winners, guys that can come in that love the Hogs, that love being a part of what we're building. Hudson Clark, a safety from Highland Park High School, obviously won 3-time state champion, and he's contributed in all of those, and just a huge impact player. Logan Callison, offensive lineman from right here, right up the road here at Shiloh Christian. A young man that we're extremely excited about, that loves the Hogs, 6'4", 300. I feel like he's going to come here and add some depth. Logan Orr from Jonesboro. I always love going over into Jonesboro. Got great relationships there, and to be able to bring a linebacker in here, another young man that loves the Hogs. Big linebacker, 6'2", 220, is going to come in and give us some depth. Drew Vest, which is already on campus here, big offensive lineman, 6'6", 300, from Searcy High School here in Arkansas. Another young man that's, when you look at his family heritage, they love the Hogs. He's got his family and grandfather, and I mean, it just goes way back. And then another one from Pulaski Academy there in Little Rock, a fantastic football player. As we watch this young man, and to get him and his family up here, John David White, wide receiver, 5'11", 180, is dynamic with the ball in his hands, a great route runner. So just to see those guys and to watch each and every one of these families as they committed to the Razorbacks is really special. And I've said that over and over. I've shared that with our team. The love of the Hogs, we've got to have that. And these guys definitely bring that. So extremely excited about the new additions to our football team. You know, we've got some early guys that are already here, as you know. Our guys that are on campus now, Trey Knox, Shamar Nash, Greg Brooks, Devin Bush, Mateo Soli, Eric Gregory, Zach Williams, Myron Cunningham, Chaboise Nwana, Drew Vest, which I mentioned, and Ben Hicks. Ben, I have not had a chance to talk about Ben. Ben joined us, was with us at SMU, 3 years at SMU with us, all-time leading passer. I'm excited to have his leadership, his competitiveness in our program, and he's done a great job getting in and building those relationships. So with that, I'm extremely excited. It's a great day to be a Razorback, and this is being here one full year and going through one full year recruiting cycle. To be able to sign the class that we signed, I'm excited about the future of 2019 and the Arkansas Razorbacks. And I'll open up for questions. Raise your hand, we'll get a mic to you.
Hey, Chad, you got maybe 4 open scholarship spots or so. What's the plan for those? Potential quarterback transfers, or what do you got in mind?
Well, we're always in the quarterback market. I've said that, you know, and I'll continue to say that. You can never have enough of those guys. Got to have competition there. We do have, I don't want to say our number right now is at 3 or 4 spots. And, you know, you never know. We'll see as the spring unfolds, how things go. You know, we'll go through and find some needs that we have. You know, we're always looking, as you said, we always talk about quarterback. We're looking, whether it be at linebacker, at corner, you're always trying to improve in any area you can. But we do have some spots, and that's a good thing.
Can you kind of walk us down with the Monte Spivey? Been committed for a long time, but was exploring some option stuff. How did that recruiting process play out for you?
Well, you know, it's you know, when you're recruiting and you know your own guys that everybody else is after too, and you know, we felt like that our relationship in that school was strong. We felt like our relationship with he and his family, Coach Traylor and Coach Craddock, did a fabulous job with him. At the end of the day, we just continue to work and continue to visit and share our vision. And as I've said it before, if I have to beg you to come here, then I'm going to have to beg you to play on 3rd and short, and I'm not going to beg you for that. And so we want people that want to be here and want to make an impact in this program.
Coach, Ben Hicks was benched for a little bit at SMU this season. What did you see from him this season that gives you confidence that he can still do it and come do it here? Yeah, well, I think when you look at Ben, and I've known Ben for a long time, and watching him and how he responded through adversity, you know, coming in with a coaching change, it's always tough. It's tough on everybody. But to watch the way he responded and to be able to come back off the bench and win ball games for him was huge. That tells you his resilience. That tells you his fight and his drive. He knows our offense, and he knows us. He knows what to expect, and he's been a great addition to our program.
Coach, kind of a two-parter. One of the premier safeties in the country, and Jalen Catalon. How great is it to get him, and what do you think about him? And also completing that trio there for Mansfield Legacy.
Well, you know, it's rare to sign 2 kids out of the same school. But when you can sign 3 kids out of the same school, it says a lot. I think that, and then you look at the impact that each one of those players, from Torian Carter to Enoch Jackson. I mean, you know, these are guys that we're anticipating coming in here and making an impact the day they step on campus. And then Jalen Catalon, as I mentioned earlier, and I've seen a lot of high school ball. And I've said this over and over about him, and watching him we were the first to offer him at our time at SMU. And just knowing him and knowing the program he plays in and the level of competition he has to play at, he would play safety, play quarterback, played both ways. You know, he's one of the top 5 best high school players that I've seen play. And so I think his potential and his upside is phenomenal. It's unfortunate that he suffered an injury this year in the first game, because I think the outcome for their season would have been different, because I think he's that big of an impact player. And not only just that I think that, but when you travel around and knowing the coaches that I know in that state, and to listen to them talk about him as a person and as a player, it's phenomenal. But when you meet his parents, you understand that. And you meet, you understand. I mean, his sister is probably the best athlete of all of them in the 8th grade. And so just a great family.
Good. No, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, how does having 2 signing days, how does that change your approach to recruiting, or does it change it at all?
Well, now that we've been able to go through it for a year ago it was awful. A year into it, it's been very, very productive. Now the month of December was incredibly difficult. I think we logged somewhere around 40 or 41,000 air miles is what I've been. And so over the last month and a half, however long we've been recruiting, the month of December is really tough. You're doing 9 home visits in a week. And you know, you figure that out, and you're eating just about in every one of those home visits. So sometimes there's 2 meals in the same night within a couple hours, and you eat all you can. You have to, you better, anyways. But a lot of work on the front end, a lot of exhausting nights on the front end. But when you get through that December signing period, which is now the regular signing period, this is the late period. And what it allowed us to do the month of January is to really focus on our area schools, spending time in our state. You know, we're going to hit every school in this state at some point within the year. So it allowed us to do that. It allowed us to really dive into 2020 recruiting, 2021 recruiting, and just starting putting our board together. And it allowed me as a head coach to get out and to get into schools and not feel as rushed to get to a home visit at night.
Coach, you mentioned Jalen Catalon coming off that injury. Traylon also had a midseason injury. How long are we looking before they're possibly back, and how's their recovery going? Yeah,
they're both well ahead of schedule. We anticipate those guys being back and ready to go when they get here in June, full throttle and ready. They'll come up and go through evaluations from our team doctors, but our doctors be in touch with theirs and making sure that everybody's on the right page. And so we anticipate those guys being ready to go for sure for fall camp and summer workouts.
Coach, it was your first year recruiting in the SEC, you know, the full cycle. Any big lessons you learned that'll help inform how you do things in 2020?
No, just be yourself. I mean, be yourself and be genuine. We've got so much to sell at the University of Arkansas. We've got a tremendous upside to coming here and making an impact. But no, there's no magic potion. It's all about relationships. It's all about getting out and working, and sharing your vision.
Coach, linebacker, is that possibly something that you would look at between now and the end of spring and stuff? I mean, maybe just signing one right now in the class.
Yeah, we'll definitely be looking and see where we go with that. You never know how it all unfolds through the course of spring and into summer. But yeah, we'll be open and you know, with the positions we have available right now, the scholarships we have available, we're open to several things.
I was just looking at the roster. I'm guessing next year, I don't mean to jump you too far, but you guys are already out doing stuff in recruiting for next year. But it looks like quarterback, running back, I guess linebacker, maybe safety would be a couple areas that you guys would hit. What are your thoughts on maybe areas that you would hit more than maybe in a normal year?
Well, you know, I mentioned earlier about quarterback. We're always in the quarterback market, doesn't matter what year. Running backs, we feel like that you know, we'll continue to explore that. You know, with the graduation of some, maybe a potential of someone leaving early. You never know those things. You know, you've got to build your O-line and D-line, though. You got to be. It's a line of scrimmage league. I think you know, one of the big focuses too would be corner, and continue to get speed. We've got to continue to address the areas of speed, and now we got this class. This is our team. I mean, we got to, and we've got to develop the guys that we have, and the guys that are here that are putting in the hard work, and is understand that this is now the next step is we got to continue to develop these guys. Recruiting never stops. It never stops. And we're recruiting, got 2020s and 2021s on the phone all day long today, and just sharing with them that they're next. And so, but we'll be open for a lot of areas.
Hey, Chad, where are you at in the process of replacing hiring a replacement for John Scott? And is it possible? I know Steve Caldwell's just coached the whole line before. Is it possible you might hire a special teams coordinator? What are you looking at for that spot?
Yeah, there is. There's a possibility of that, but or a special teams coordinator that's that will coach a position as well. So there's different options there. We hope to have a replacement definitely before the start of spring ball. Obviously, we'd like to have something in there in the next few days if we could.
Hey, Chad, the earn everything thing that kind of hit winter conditioning. Can you talk about what led to that, where the guys are in stages of earning back their things?
Well, we just talked about it's a big deal to play football at the University of Arkansas, and there's no entitlement. You know, we've got to get away from that. We're not entitled to it. We've got to earn it. And so we sat down, we talked, and you know, kind of talked with the staff, and felt like, you know, the word that kept coming up. I'm big on finding one word that really you're going to focus on for a team, for a person, for you as a personal, in your personal life, whatever it may be. And what is your one word? And we've challenged our players with that. Well, our one word for our team is every. And I asked our players just to think of a word that follows every, and it matters. Whether it's one or body or breath or rep or game or practice, every matters. So whatever follows every matters. And the biggest thing is every day counts. And it really counts when you're at the last day and you look backwards and go, you know what, that day in February, that day, February 6th, when it was a yoga and a recovery day, and it was optional to come, that day counted. That day counted, especially when you're sitting in December and you're looking forward at it. And so that kind of resonated home with our players and with me and our staff. And I felt like, you know what, we got to go back to, we got to earn things. And so from coaches to players to strength staff, to training staff, everybody, recruiting department, we got to earn everything. And so that I know that our players have been very appreciative. Last week was was a week that we had to pull a win out on Friday. We had to have a perfect Friday to win. And when you win, you earn a piece of gear. And we earned a pair of shorts. So we have a Razorback logo on our shorts. And so we're excited about that. Hopefully this week we can get a win and we'll get another piece of gear. So, but it is, and that'll be an opportunity, and eventually we'll earn our way back into our locker room.
With those 3 spots available, do you look to sign someone here in the next couple of days, or do you go and look at the transfer portal? How do you handle?
Well, that's really hard to say right now. We could. We're not going to get in a hurry just to fill spots. That's the one thing that I've found in this business you can get yourself in trouble in. If we find the right fit for us, then we'll fill it. If we don't, then that's okay. That's all right.
Coach, you've been big on talking about not just winning, but how you win. Mm-hmm. And you guys have been very active in the community. I'm curious because you kind of touched on this in the beginning, but how do these guys reflect your approach in terms of character, the guys you're bringing in this signing class? Well,
I think not just this signing class, but our entire football team. And I go back and I say it again, and you got to have a love for the Hogs. You got to love the Hogs. There's too many people in this state that the Razorback football basketball, Razorbacks in general, it's a big, big, big deal. And the more our players can understand the impact that they have in every household, and every kitchen table, and every garage in this state, the more they understand appreciation for what they have to earn. And, you know, we have, you know, our hogs, you know, it's H is have, O is one, G is goal, and S is success. Have one goal, success. Whatever success is in your life, that's what we're after. And that's a big deal, and we want a love for that. And we want those guys to understand that. And when you then recruit to that and build a team to that, then you find quickly that it's more than just the player. And I've said this since I've gotten here. There's such thing as great players that don't fit us, and that's okay. We don't want them. There's great players that do fit us, and those who we have to go get. And when you start looking and you start talking to the parents, and whether it's the grandmas, the aunties, whoever is the closest impact person in their life, and you understand that they're winners and that they have a love and appreciation for their most prized possession or commodity to be taken care of, and that's when you know. And so it's when you meet our players, it's phenomenal. When you meet the parents, it's unbelievable.
Now that you go to the next stage in spring football, coming up just about 3 weeks away, what's the goal between now and then? And are you worried about quarterback? Because obviously you've lost a couple, and maybe one's playing another sport this spring.
No, am I worried about quarterback? I mean, no, we've got to continue to develop guys. I mean, we've got to have a competition, and we've got to continue to push. And but no, I'm not worried about that. I think that'll work itself out. I think between now and spring, we got to continue to grow closer as a team, which we're working at. We've got a few weeks ahead of us to get through quarter one of our winter conditioning, and when we do that, then we'll introduce quarter two on, I think it's Monday the 25th, and spring ball starts on the 26th, and you know, that'll take the next step into our development.
Chad, we talked to Dave Van Horn the other day. He said you and he had a conversation about dividing up Connor's time. I mean, do you anticipate Connor being at all every spring practice, or how do you feel about that situation?
Well, you know, we always talk about one Razorback, and I think Connor's going to exemplify what that means. And you know, there's got to be great communication between Coach Van Horn and myself, and we're constantly talking. We'll talk a couple times a week. As a matter of fact, I think I may go down and watch him pitch Saturday. And so I think at the end of this, and we look at it, we got to make sure that the number one focus is Connor Noland. And he can't get lost in this shuffle, making sure that he's taken care of as far as just the wear and tear on himself. And so he's been in workouts with us this week. He goes down and he pitches, and he goes down and gets his workout in baseball, and there's a great relationship that we have, our strength staff has with their strength staff, and we're talking daily or every other day, making sure we're monitoring his workload. So I'm excited for Connor, and I know that Coach Van Horn is as well, and I think he has a chance to be a very special player here.
Coach, you mentioned Catalon. Just the type of player, what he brings on the field, and the playmaker he is, if you can kind of give us an insight of that. Is he a corner? Is he safety? Is he all of that? And then I'm curious to top 5 players, if you remember some of those guys that you would put in the top 5 along with him.
Yeah, I've watched Deshaun Watson play. I've watched Vince Young play. I mean, there's been some great ones that we've seen, and I have to go back and think of some more. But he's up there. I mean, he's very instinctive, especially when you see what he's having to do in all phases, offense, defensively. He played quarterback, also comes and doubles as safety. Phenomenal baseball player. I mean, he's a well-rounded athlete, and was a great basketball player. So when you look at that and you look at the impact that he has on his team. But I think the one word I would say more than anything, he's just extremely instinctive, and he loves to play the game.
New graphic and a new hashtag. Just tell us what's going behind Diamond Gang and Diamond Gang XX hashtag.
Well, it's part of our creative team and their creative thinking and marketing, and with from Cody Vincent and Brooks Cockrell, and we've got Jake in there, SJ. It's been everybody that we challenge our creative team to really do a lot of brainstorming, and as we roll out our 2020 campaign, it's when you look at our state and the diamonds in our state, and so it all ties back into the natural state.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.